So I've been thinking a lot about balance and harmony. Of course, that plays into everything I do as a musician, as an artist, but this also plays into our daily lives. And what inspired me to put this music together this week was really that I was feeling out of alignment. I was feeling really discombobulated and really disconnected from nature, honestly. And I've been listening to a lot of Zach Bush. If you don't know the work of Dr. Zach Bush, I highly recommend you go look him up. He is blowing up on podcasts and interviews right now. But what his work focuses on now is the interrelationship between humankind and nature and the microbiome, and how this is all being reflected and expressed within our spiritual experience as human beings. And it's all very fascinating. He can explain these concepts to you a lot better than I can. You will have your mind and your heart just blown completely wide open. But essentially, this concept of coming back to nature and restoring balance in our natural world as humans, as a keystone species, what is our responsibility? And I'll start by offering the definition of balance. Balance refers to a state of equilibrium, stability, or an equal distribution of weight, power, force. It also refers to states of mental and emotional steadiness, as well as states of harmony. Harmony being a pleasing combination of parts or a state of agreement and peaceful relationship. So I really wanted to create a harmonious relationship and a balance between worlds here. And I keep coming back to this experience that I had about a year and a half ago with a mangrove tree. Yes, a mangrove tree. I had been leaving a cenote and I was walking through the mangroves, and all around the cenote grows these beautiful, I don't know, I guess they're trees. They kind of look like bushes. And the one that I was walking through looked particularly mangled. And I stopped and I so deeply felt the presence of this tree, and I could see the reflection of myself in this mangled tree, and I could see the reflection of our mothers and of women, and how she has just been abused and abandoned, and the way that man comes and just claims this land and just rips apart whatever doesn't fit into their vision of what they want to build. And I so deeply felt the pain that she was experiencing, and I could see myself in her. And I stopped and I put my hands on her and I sobbed. And I sobbed and I sang to her. And I just prayed that she would be understood, and I prayed that she would be heard. And a year later, I went back to that same cenote and walked through that same mangrove. And I almost missed it. As I was walking, I came across the same place where I had met her the previous year. And I almost missed it because I didn't recognize her. She had reflourished. She looked healed. Her bark was no longer splintered and dry. She was covered in green. And the most profound thing that I noticed was that on the branch where I had sobbed, she had this one branch that was coming up out of the ground, and it was draping over, creating this archway on this path. And on that branch were prayer ribbons. There were about 6 or 7 colorful ribbons tied to this branch of this mango tree where I had sobbed and wept for her only a year before. And that experience just gives me chills because it is such a profound reflection of our connection with nature. And I think that the way that we need to get back to her is so much simpler than what we try to make it as humans. I don't think that we can write into laws and create code that is going to restore our relationship to nature. I think it's as simple as sitting with her, listening with her, understanding that she is reflected in you and you are reflected in her, and that just as you feel, she also feels. And I think for us to restore this balance and harmony, it is as simple as opening up this door of communication. How often do we ask our Mother Nature, how is she doing? How does she feel? As humans in modern society, so they say, our culture has taught us to constantly take, to extract. And in that constant taking and that constant extraction, we become neglectful and we forget and we abandon. And we see this direct reflection in the way that so many of us are carrying this mother wound, how our own mother has abandoned us, has abused us, forsaken us. Yet as humans, we have done the same to our great mother, to our original mother, our creator. Whew. And so I think so many of us are feeling that on an internal level, and we don't have the words to express it, or we don't have the experiences to connect with it because we were born removed from it. I grew up with these deep feelings of grief that I carried with me as a little girl. And of course, family history had a lot to do with that. But I wasn't even looking at my family. I was looking at the rest of the world, and I could feel this sense of sadness and brokenheartedness. And it's only now in my adult life that I've been able to connect a deeper understanding to those feelings that I was carrying around my entire life. And it's been through this experience of sitting with nature and observing her and speaking with her, telling her how I feel, listening to how she feels, that I've been able to start to mend this broken piece of my heart. And it's that reflection of how we see in humans the number one determining factor in a child's well-being is the well-being of its mother. So we have to start really reflecting, and we really have to start tending to the well-being of our mother, not only in nature, but also within us, because we are simply a reflection of nature. And so I think as conscious creators, she is really speaking through us right now. I think we are in this time and space, awake, present, asking these deeper questions so that we may restore this balance and harmony. I think we were put here by nature to prevail just as she does, to restore the balance. And so this week, as you are observing your natural world, I invite you to offer a moment of thanks, of gratitude, appreciation for for all that is, for all that you've been given. Because it's in this simple exchange that our vibrations begin to harmonize. And when we resonate, we expand, we become louder, we go further. And I promise that if you begin to do these things, you will start to see a profound shift in your own life and the world around you. So that was my inspiration for this week. Restoring balance. If you're just tuning into the conversation here, you can find this week's music mix inspired by balance and harmony on YouTube and SoundCloud. If you stuck around after the mix to listen to this beautiful transmission that nature has given to us, thank you. Of course, if this resonates, like, comment, subscribe, follow along for more. And most importantly, my friends, keep up the light. What's up, conscious creator? If you're ready to give back to your body in the same way that it gives back to you, I highly recommend checking out my website at sound-body.org, where you can find more music resources and integrative products that increase your capacity for living well. And if you love to dance and you're ready to receive these transmissions through your own sound body, don't forget to listen to this week's mix as Sound Body Radio. You can find me on YouTube at JRio Music or SoundCloud at Jessica Rio Music, or simply by searching Sound Body Radio. As always, your support doesn't just feed me as an independent creator, but it helps those around you find their path back to their higher calling. So, thanks for listening, and remember, keep up the light.